Hey everyone, Dane here. Today we are on part 2 of our Sony PS1 xStation install on a PU8 motherboard. Let's get to it. Okay, so last time we were together, we got our board fully prepped for our xStation install. We've got our pins lifted, resistors removed, all that stuff ready to go. And here we have our xStation kit. It's pretty cool. It comes with a couple nice stickers. That one's fancy. But yeah, it's really nice. It actually comes with everything you need for whatever motherboard revision. This is the QSB that we're going to be working with today. Yeah, so let's get into this. All right, so we are actually going to be starting out working on that area where we had to remove the resistors. Let me get my bearings on the back side of the board here. Yeah, all right, so we want to find our alphabet that's on here, and I'm going to pull this camera in just a little bit. Yeah, so this is the area where we removed the 3 resistors. This is the area we are going to be on today. And this is the QSB that we're going to be using. And according to the guide, let me see if I can get my bearings here. This is going to be going this area of the motherboard. And I just have to figure out where it's going to hook up to. So I think probably the easiest thing to check out is actually this very small SMD cap right here, because that is where the base of it hooks up. So that's actually a good reference point for the rest of this. And the rest of these are going to line up with specific pads on the board. So I'm going to zoom in even closer so you can kind of get a better look exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, I think that basically finding this SMD cap on the board, lining that QSB up is really the way to go. There we go. So that's about right. There's a lot of points that we need to weld to on the board here. So I suggest really just kind of trying to line all of them up as best you can first. Also, I didn't even realize this, there's a hole for a small SMD component here. So that might even be an easier way to find where you need to put your board, is just to put that right through the hole there. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. All right, so I'm going to get my iron fired up here and my fume extractor going, and we will get this QSB welded into place. All right, so my fume extractor is on, my iron is up to temp, and we're going to get started. So kind of looking at this QSB, I think the area where I'm going to weld it in first is actually right here, because it's kind of central. I have the board pretty much lined up exactly where it needs to be, so I'm going to try to just hit that area first to tack that into place, and then I can weld all my other points. I am only going to try to hit one to begin with, just to, that way if I need to undo it, it'll be easy. I'm going to try to not have to undo anything. All right, so I'm going to try to get some solder on the bottom of my iron here. Yeah, we're welded in there. Okay, so from there, we just have to go through and start hitting all our other points. I think I'm actually now going to hit the ones that are sort of at the outside of things and kind of work my way in. This is pretty fine-pitched stuff, but it's not too crazy hard to do or anything. I'm going to go slow, use lots of flux, hit our points. Turn this board just a little bit so I can get at this point right here. Okay, making good progress here. Let's go ahead and hit these ones over by where we tacked it down to begin with. Those two, as long as you use enough flux, looks like you can really just kind of do them at the same time. And if you're worried about bridging it, you can always check with the multimeter. I'm going to do that on the ones close that are near each other on this anyway. Some of these, like this one, are really close to other components, so I'm just going to try to be as precise as I can. Just like that. It's real tight in this area right here. All right, that all's looking good. We're almost done here, actually. So the ones that are on the top side here, I've got to rotate the board to get to them, so I'm going to wait. We'll just finish hitting these other ones real quick. Kind of don't like the way that one looked, so I'm going to hit it with some flux again and re-weld it. For some reason, that one wants to keep spiking, so I'm just going to re-weld it till it looks the way I want. Just kind of hit the camera with my hat. Sorry about that. But that one finally looks good. I like the way that one looks. Okay, so now I'm going to rotate the board so I can get at those last 3 points. I'm right-handed, so it's going to make it a lot easier to get in there. All right, a little more flux. Start the corner. Next one. And finally hit our last point. Okay, so I think that is all the points that we need to hit. Which is pretty nice. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see those welds. It's really not too bad to do. You just need to go nice and slow. Use lots of flux. Actually, the way that some of that looks does make it a little bit difficult to see those welds just because it's kind of shiny. So I'm going to clean them off with Q-tip real fast, and then we can look closer. All right, clean it up. Hitting a Q-tip with some rubbing alcohol and get in there and clean up after ourselves. There we go. That all looks a little bit better. Now you can see, check out those welds. Okay. Now that we have our QSB installed to our board, we have a little more work to do on this side of the board to get it ready to hook up to our actual xStation card reader board. Okay, so when we were up close looking at the QSB, actually, let me zoom back in. You can see that there is a pad marked IO16 that we need to weld to. We actually need to jump that to another position on the board. So let's zoom out a little bit. Not that much. And find that position that we need to weld to. So best, or the easiest way to find it, find the B on the board, and then come straight down to where there is a run of traces that is diagonal and connects to this weird looking part of the board here. Find that and find these two SMD components. From there, at least this is how I did it, I went diagonally up and to the left until I found this pad right here that is between these two SMD caps. That is the point we are going to be welding to and jumping with a wire over to this point right here. I try to zoom in just a little bit more. There we go. You can see where I'm talking about. Again, it is this pad right here between these two SMD caps. Let's go ahead and tin it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this pad ready. There we go. Nice new solder on there. And we may as well tin this pad while we're at it. Yep. That one looks good. All right, what kind of wire do I want to use here? This is actually decent application for some solid core wire that I've got. So we will use that. I'm going to go cut a length. Okay, so here I've cut some solid core. This is 22 gauge solid core wire. This is actually pretty good application for it here because I don't have like a ton of wires that I need to use in like a harness or anything like that. It's just a single run. And I think the hooking this to those two pads is going to be the way to go. So we're going to kind of try to do something, get it in there like that, and really just do a nice straight run, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and tack down this side first. All right, there we go. Now we're going to cut the other side right to length. Got my trusty XLite side snips here. I'm going to go just to the other side of that last point. All right, see if I can get my hand out of the way here. Cut it right there. Proper length. Now I'm going to hold down this end while I bend this up to prepare it, because you don't want to put extra pressure on this pad. So I'm going to hold it with my finger and bend it up like that so I can strip it and prepare it. All right, so we're going to tin that point. Just like that. I'm going to bend that back down, again, making sure, try to not put any pressure on the other pad. Now you can see that is going to sit exactly where it needs to go. Plus, I'm actually going to pre-tin my iron for this. It's holding that down into place. That. Go. Okay, so that is a nice, easy run between those 2 points. Nice solid piece of wire. Not going to go anywhere. We made sure to bend it into the correct shape so we're not putting any undue stress on those pads. Let's go ahead and clean those up real quick. Very nice. And hitting that spot where I removed those resistors before again. Awesome, moving on. Okay, so our modifications to the board are actually pretty much done. But we have some more modifications we need to do to the base in order to get this ready to hook in properly and to do our flex cable runs the way we need to. So we're actually going to set this aside. And we're going to take a look at the base of the PlayStation. So we actually need to get rid of this post that's right here. So we're going to just pull our base plate out for the moment. All right, again, that is this pin right here. We got to get rid of that because it could potentially damage the flex cable. So I'm just going to use the old XLite side snips, get in there, and pinch that right off. Dang, that came out of there really fast. Okay, so that's gone. Don't have to worry about that now. And we can put our base plate back in. Okay, now that our base is ready, we can prepare our board for installation back into the shell. We're just going to set that aside. And this is where we're going to hook up our flex cables. We're just going to pull that out. And you want to go blue side up with your flex cable when you install it here. Install it just like that. And I like to kind of hold it in place. Try to press both sides in at the same time. Both sides didn't want to go in at the same time, but that's the idea. And then we are going to do a bend to the right. And we're not going to like crease this real hard. We're just going to press down enough to get it to go where it's supposed to. Again, not like hammering down on this, just giving it a suggestion of the direction to go in. Now we can set this back into our shell. Okay, there we go. So your ribbon should be coming up this side, right near where it says PU8. And we can go ahead and set our metal shielding back in here. Okay, so we actually want to take our cable and route it up through this piece, like this, and then set our big shield into its correct position. Now, Jay actually decided to go with a laser bear base for this, which should look really awesome. And I've not installed one of those yet, so I'm looking forward to doing that. But yeah, let's go ahead and hook our power up. There we go. And I'm going to go grab out the laser bear part of the kit now. Okay, got our laser bear kit out. Greg always sends out these gummy bears with his stuff. Such a cool touch. Thanks for that. Helps give me the blood sugar I need for the install. So it looks like we are actually not going to be getting into this quite yet. Looks like we've got a couple more steps to do before we get that ready. So the next thing we want to do is set up our posts for our actual xStation board install. Let's go ahead and get those out. Okay, we've got our posts out. Let's go ahead and get our actual xStation board out. And I've not installed one of these yet in a PU8. And apparently we have to shorten up the legs of these posts a little bit to get it to sit securely. And I've never done that, so I'm going to have to kind of see how this works. I also know that there's going to be a little bit of adjustment to the flex cable to get it to hook up properly. But for now, we'll just let that sit there. So just kind of looking at what we've got here. Trying to see how this fits under there. All right, I'm going to have to check my instructions a little bit. I do know I need to put the posts on here. Looks like we probably go one in each of the three corners. Maybe once I get those on there, actually, it'll help me figure out where this sits. Let's go ahead and install those now. 1, 2, and we can always shorten these up afterwards. That's no big deal. And 3. I'm still not quite clear how this sits on here, so I'm going to go double check that and be right back. Okay, so it looks like they actually have it setting a little more central. And it looks like this will be your guide right here, this post. Use that in this corner right here. And then there's also another post right here that's going to go into this hole. So I can see what they're talking about with removing a little bit of material to get this to sit down flush. And it actually looks like we maybe only need to really remove it from these two legs right here, because this third one sits down a little bit lower. I don't know, we might have to do all of them just to get it to sit a little bit lower. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and be right back. Okay, so kind of interesting. I had to take a little bit more off those posts than I expected. And it's kind of tricky because your board is also going to have a spot to rest right here, which is a little bit lower. So I ended up taking off a pretty significant portion, but a different amount for each of these legs to get it to sit down in there. And I just used some wire strippers. I just used the cutting part there. And actually worked pretty good. But I did get this to a spot where it sits very solidly in there without too much wiggling. Pretty happy with that. Although honestly, oh, you know what? I got it in there backwards. That's the problem. All right, so we're gonna put it this way, and you can see that that is actually in there, really pretty solid. This one I had to cut the most off of. This one I had to cut the least off of. That one was pretty moderate to get it to sit, but you can see it has a tiny bit of play, but that's mostly just due to the fact that these pins are really, their base is pretty low. And you're never going to get that to sit quite flush with there because the base of these pins is lower than these metal tabs that stick up right here. But that is pretty solid right there. Yeah, I actually kind of wish that there was another cutout in this corner. That would, I think, help secure things just a little bit better. But it's really not too bad. Now, you know what? The more I play with it, kind of the less I like it. So I might fool around with this just a little bit more. All right. Well, I actually got out the file and filed these down a little bit more until I got everything leveled out about as good as I was going to be able to get it. Really, that's the only thing I'd say is I wish there was a little hole right here for another leg just to help keep that in place. But it's not going to go anywhere. It's just a little bit off balance, you know, if it were to sink in this corner. But it's good to go otherwise. So we are actually ready to hook up our flex cable here. Gonna go in here, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to sort of bend this and get it where it needs to go. Kind of looks like it needs to go here, then maybe over, and then up one more time. Something kind of like that. Here, another bend, and a last one to get up to there. I'm actually going to check my reference here, and yeah, that pretty much says something similar to what I was just saying. Although we want it to go blue side up, wouldn't really quite go that way. So maybe just here. Yes, they basically just have it doing two turns. Something kind of like that. I'm actually going to put this up just like that. We're going to see about kind of getting this into the proper shape here. This one's kind of weird the way they suggest it. There we go. I think a little more like that. That's a little better. I'm not crazy about what you have to do with that to get that to sit in there, but I think that that's going to be just fine. Okay, so now that we have our actual xStation hooked up here, I think the next step is going to be starting to put this back together, putting our controller ports back in and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into that now. All right, so our controller ports are just going to set in there just like that. Hook those back up. I'm going to use my trusty pliers there to help apply an even amount of pressure across that to help set that in place. That actually worked great. Actually, I think we can kind of use that to help hold things in place a little bit. Okay, there we go. Making progress. Now, I think we can actually hook up our laser bearer board next. Need to figure out how this sits in here. So it looks like it sits this way. Interesting. That's really cool how that sits in there. Actually makes me think that I might want to try to lower xStation board a little bit, because it looks like this wants to really sit down right at the base. This isn't bad, but yeah, just kind of interesting to see how that works. I also need to figure out exactly how this portion interfaces. So yeah, I'm going to go check out LaserBear website and see what it says about it. Okay, so went and looked, and most of the reference I found was for what appears to be an earlier version of this. Oops, sorry for hitting the camera. This ribbon cable, and by the look of it, it's like it's got our little key on the right side here. So it looks like this actually installs with the ribbon cable kind of on the top side of it. So it's going to install like that. And you can hear it click into place. In the earlier versions had like a larger flex cable that they would like route underneath it. I don't think we actually need to do like any of that for this. It looks like it just kind of sits down right on there. I guess maybe we might need to sort of run it up this way first and kind of back. But yeah, really, looks like it ought to just kind of set on there anyway. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look like we need to grease anything, or maybe just a little bit right there. But yeah, that sits on there just like that. So outside of some screws, this xStation install is done. Pretty cool. I've never gotten to install one of these xStation SD card mounts. That's really pretty cool. So next, I need to go track down an SD card, see if I can find one that'll be big enough, and I can get the xStation installed on there so I can check my work, and then it's just a matter of screwing the thing back together. So I'm going to go hunt down that SD card, and we'll see about getting the firmware on there. Okay, so it is moment of truth time. I've got the firmware installed on the SD card right here, so we're going to go ahead and plug that in. All right, there we go. I have ripped my copy of Castlevania Symphony of the Night and my copy of In the Hunt to test out and see if this works. So let's go ahead and power this bad boy on and see what we get. Fingers crossed. All right, it is booting up. Good sign. Okay, it looks like it didn't boot into the xStation menu. So I think it says to hold down reset and restart. Hey, we know that our PS1 didn't blow up, so we're gonna see if we can't get this to boot. I'll be right back. Okay, I needed to get a controller to plug in, and I also needed my my trusty reset button holder downer here. So we're gonna hold that down and start it again and see what we get. Oh, that's interesting. The plot thickens. Okay, gonna go take another gander at my my folder structure, make sure I installed all that stuff right, and be right back. Okay, so weren't resetting, so there's something else going on here. So there's a couple of things that I need to check. First thing I want to do is get out my multimeter here and start testing my points to make sure that all my welds were good. They all looked pretty good to me, but it's possible that something didn't connect. Very often with these, if that's the issue, it's because the reset didn't connect. And there are actually pretty good instructions now on the GitHub for this, on areas to test if things aren't working. So I'm going to pull that up and start hitting some of my test points here to make sure that everything is connected properly. I'm going to start at the top here. Looks like this corresponds to the 4th pin down from the top. Okay, so that's good. Like this one corresponds to the next pin. Good. For 5 here. One's good. Like this one connects to the very bottom pin on that side. Yeah, good. This one looks like it's the 4th from the bottom. All right, so that's fine. Okay, that one's good. Really, this is just how you go through and test. You just use your multimeter and hit the test points to make sure that everything is good. So it looks like this one, the test point is this side of this resistor. Good. All right, the next one here, like it comes all the way down this resistor. Good. Next one. Okay, that is all good. So far, all of our connections are good. I'm just going to keep testing here just to make sure that nothing, sort of mechanically wrong with this. This one looks like... Yeah, it'd be the second leg on this IC. All right, that's correct. Good here. That's good. Oh, I think I see the culprit. Right here, I missed one. Look at that. All right, let me zoom in here. This one. Can you believe it? Oh, this happens. Okay, so... Missed one. Look at that. Right there. Guess I just got ahead of myself, went a little too fast, and I didn't connect. Didn't hit that. Fire up the fume extractor really fast. Flux. There. All right. Let's see if that's good to go. That's all good. Making progress. Let's see here next. Actually, there's a better place. All right, so here for this point, we're going to that the second leg of the IC here from the top. That's good. Good. All right, so this point here just corresponds directly to third leg on this IC. Good. All right, so here, next. Right there. Oh, this one was easy. It just corresponds to the leg that is directly across from it on this IC. Okay, so looks like our board is now complete. Glad we got back into there and made sure that that point was connected. All right, so next what I'm going to do is finish reformatting the card, because apparently it needs to be an EX FAT, I believe is the formatting that it needs. So I'm actually currently formatting that, and when it is done, I will get the files put back on there, and I'll show you how to set one of those cards up too. But I need to make sure that the thing works, and then I will show you how to do that. All right, so we'll get our, oh, you know what? Sorry, I forgot to zoom the camera out. There we go, and we will reconnect our ribbon cable. There we go. And we are ready to put it back together. So I showed you how to do that, so I'm going to cut, get it put back together, and we will go from there. All right, for this next section, what I'm going to do is show you how to set up your SD card. Now, what I did was I came in and used my SD card formatter here. Double click that. I basically did a quick format and told it like, hey, we're going to call this thing xStation. You do that and it will properly format the card. This is the program that they suggest using on the xStation GitHub. After you do that, you open up your folder. You're going to create a new folder called 00 Station. After that, what we're going to do is open up the firmware for it, the loader.bin file. We're going to add directly to the 00 xStation folder. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is create new folders for the two games that I ripped to test this out. So we're going to do Castlevania the Night, and we're going to do in the, and then we're just going to add our games to there. Okay, I didn't figure you wanted to watch bars fill, so I've added In the Hunt and Castlevania to my folder. So now I'm basically ready to put this back in the PS1 and test it out. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to show real fast is I was not happy with how wobbly this board was. And here's what I kind of discovered. That basically you do have to cut down the standoffs that come with this. But using really short M3 standoffs here seem to really be what the top of this board wants. So I put in these short M3 standoffs and still had my shaved down plastic standoff that came with it. And that has given it just a really, really solid base. This really does not want to move around now. That is really steady. So that is what we want for our SD card mounts. Let's go ahead and put the SD card mount back in. Take our board here. Again, little key notch is facing the controller ports, facing me. Put that in. Go. We are going to lay that. That seems really good. That is very nice and stable. Just what we want. So now I'm going to plug in my SD card. And yeah, we're going to test this out and see if it works. Okay, time for Moment of Truth Part 2. Now, there's one other thing I forgot. I haven't put a lid back on this thing yet, which means that if the lid switch isn't depressed, it's not going to load right. So it's entirely possible that this thing would have loaded anyway, although it's good. We did find that spot that we missed. But yeah, so I'm going to make sure to hold that down while I power it on this time. And we will see what we get. All right, we're booting. This time it definitely thinks the lid is closed. So. Here we go. There is our xStation menu. Awesome. So yeah, I think we got it. Now, I'm not sure if this will keep working if I take my hand off this. I'm going to try it and we'll see what happens. If this doesn't work, I'll just put the lid back on it and then we'll test it. Let's go ahead and make this a little bigger here. Okay, so like this is a little bit older firmware, so we want to update that. Go ahead and do that first thing. So we're going to hit update firmware. We're going to hit start. Oh, the CD lid is not closed. And you know what? I don't feel like, well, I think I'm going to have to. So I'm just going to hold this down manually and keep it there. All right, so looks like we're back to the menu. Triangle. Okay, so because I didn't have that done already, it looks like it didn't update yet. Now I have put the most recent firmware on here, so I think the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to power this off, put the lid on it. You can see what it will look like with the lid on there. Anyway, you're going to want to see what the SD card mount looks like. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we will get the firmware updated. Okay, real quick, let's take a look at how the SD card mount looks inside the shell. I think that looks awesome. That is what it's going to look like with the lid open. Close up now, and yeah, I left my controller over there. Yeah, then we'll fire this up. Okay, so we're going to turn this on and then bring up our 4K capture utility here. Interesting. So don't actually have the lid screwed in yet, so it might not be quite pressing down on that or hard enough. I'll just use my hand. That's weird. Huh. Being finicky. Let's try this again. Down on it by hand. There we go. Okay, so it's definitely just that I need to finish screwing this thing together. So third time's a charm, right? Okay, be right back. Okay, so we finally have the whole thing screwed back together, and the xStation menu booted right out of the opening screen first thing. So yeah, it's just that reset button can be a little finicky. So you got to make sure that it's fully depressed or it's not going to boot right. Okay, so now let's see about getting that firmware updated. Okay, so we're going to do that now. Because it will take about a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, uh-oh. That's strange. Now, I recently put the... it was the most recent firmware that was uploaded to the GitHub. Kind of makes me wonder if I need to go back to the previous, like, 1.6, I think, firmware revision was. Curious, though, if it will have the game list on here, so let's just take a look at that. Okay, so it is seeing our games. That's cool. So it has a seasonal theme you can turn on and off. Kind of cool. Yeah, but I definitely want to get the firmware updated to the latest for Jay. So I'm going to go mess with that and report back. Be right back. Okay, the xStation menu is up. I swapped out the latest firmware for the previous release. Let's see if we can get it to update from here. I'm just kind of curious if it couldn't make the jump from that older firmware to the newest. Maybe needed an intermediary or something. Kind of seems like it's maybe... Hey, there we go. Successful. Okay, well, that's good to know. So, if you try to put the very latest firmware in there, it's not going to do it. Looks like the 1.6 is needed to install first. So now I think the next thing I'm going to do is actually grab the SD card back out and attempt to install the latest, and hopefully that will get us where we need to go. So I'll do that and be right back. All right, so I've just replaced the 1.6 firmware with the latest, which is... let's see here. Yeah, so that'd be 626. So that is actually firmware from today. All right, so good. Where'd my window go here? All right, seems like I've lost my capture. Yeah, it just crashed out. So let me restart that. Okay, so very much still learning as I go. I took a closer look at the latest on the GitHub, and as it turns out, it basically says that for whatever reason, the latest loader doesn't actually need a firmware update. So you just put the loader bin onto the SD card, and that's all you need to do. So we are actually up to date. Although it looks like my capture utility is acting up again, so I'm going to try to reset that real quick. There we go. All right, so we are currently up to date. We have the latest firmware and the latest loader. So they're two different bin files, and that is actually what we were dealing with here. So now that I have figured that out, it is still a learning process for me. We can check it out. So we do have our seasonal theme here. You can turn on and off. Kind of love the snowflakes in the background there. We need like summer and spring and fall ones too. So there's like different themes. Switch it to dark, as I think that will look better. Yeah, all right, cool. So save and exit. And oh, you know what? I'm going to turn the seasonal thing off for now. And we'll hit save and exit. We're going to go with the dark theme here. Yeah, let's fire up Castlevania. Cool. It has loaded. That wasn't too fast. Or that, excuse me, that was pretty fast. It wasn't too bad, was it? I'm going to attempt to play this looking here instead of at my CRTs. It usually has like a full second of lag or so. All right. Bork for the win. I love this game so much. I think it's my favorite game of all time. So, good one to test with. Yeah, so I actually bought this game when it came out, fall of like 97 or something like that. I was in middle school, and I had really been looking forward to this game because I had skipped the 16-bit era. I didn't get to play like a lot, or I didn't get to play at home, you know, some awesome side scrollers like, you know, Super Metroid. So when I found out about this game, even though at that point 2D games had become kind of passé, I was really excited about it. Yeah, and it has been one of my favorite games ever since. Oh, that classic dialogue. Awesome. So we can see that this one works. Let's check out In the Hunt. Trying to reset. But yeah, I am happy for Jay. I think this is going to be great for him. He never has to worry about dealing with lasers again. And I'm actually going to be doing this to my own personal PlayStation here pretty soon. I've got one of the 5000 series consoles, and it can't read games to save its life anymore. So I'm going to be installing an xStation of my own pretty soon here. Oh, I loaded the wrong game. Well, you know what? I bet I have to actually do a hard reboot. I don't know, I should probably read the instructions on the xStation. Got ahead of myself there. But yeah, if you remember doing the old PS1 trick, you know, having to tilt your PlayStation on its side or flip it upside down to get it to read games, let me hear from you in the comments. All right, let's load up In the Hunt here. Another just awesome classic 32-bit side scroller here. If you've watched my other videos, you've probably heard me talk about In the Hunt. It's just a beautiful, beautiful game. Some of the finest sprite animation on the system. Really unique setting, right? How many other sort of mini submarine side-scrolling shooters can you think of? One, Squoon. That's it. There's one other one. The NES. Okay, we're engaging the Dark Anarchy Society. Oh man, there's so much lag playing it through the capture card like this. That was close. All right, well, I would say we are in business. We are good to go. We've done our test. Jay, thanks for having me work on this xStation install for you. It was fun. I learned a lot. You know, this is my first PU18, excuse me, PU8 xStation install. So I'd never done one of those before. You know, got a little more familiar with the xStation GitHub. There's a ton of information on there. Sometimes it can actually be a little difficult to sift through. But yeah, it's there for you. And thanks for hanging out with me today. Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up. Well, yeah, guys, thanks for hanging with me today. I had a lot of fun working on this one. You know, I always love having new experiences, but I also love, you know, just getting to wrench on these things, and you know, even hitting mods I've done a dozen times. Yeah, so xStation, really awesome mod, great way to future-proof a really awesome classic system. And yeah, just thanks for being here with me today. You know, if you enjoyed hanging out with me, you know, I always do this at the end. I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe, all that stuff. You know, it's hugely helpful. And if you really enjoyed yourself, you know, thought you learned a lot, I would appreciate, you know, you can use my Buy Me a Coffee link, or even, you know, hit up my my Patreon, which you know, with that one, I haven't been quite sure how to set that up. So if you're interested in supporting the channel with a monthly donation like that, let me know. Like, let me know what sort of things you would, you know, you'd like to see as a patron, and I'd be happy to set that stuff up. Because yeah, I really enjoy doing this. You know, I love keeping these retro systems out of the landfill. You know, and I love making sure that people are going to get to enjoy them for years. But yeah, I'm just very thankful for you guys. You know, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, stuff you like, stuff you don't like, please hit me up in the comments. And you know, even if you just want to chat, I'm always happy to talk retro stuff. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today, and we will catch you next time. Bye now.